right up until the temporary but fully complete removal of the thoughts, right up until that point, the thinker and the quality of thought that arises from the thinker, not meaning this thinker, but that apparent thinker, and that quality of thoughts that seem to be incredibly worthwhile, challenging, and the only thing worth following, was the predominant factor of being a human. We're here to follow the thoughts, and the thoughts that arise are the only thing here worth being here for. And then this moment arises. And within this moment, something completely supersedes this thinking mechanism. It appears as if it's a knowing mechanism, a beyond thought, wise mechanism. But in fact, it's not even a mechanism. It's the most simplest thing. But it has no quality, no value, no assessment, no judgment, no criteria, no form, no shape, no color. But it is boundless and beyond. And when this vocal body is able to dust itself down, pick itself up, and then apparent thoughts slowly reappear. It is a very simple comparison, a very simple judgment that all that thinking held me up. Who is me that gets held up from thinking? It's a double-edged sword, you see. You really have to observe in non-duality, in this bliss, in this overwhelming joy that each one of us goes through. There is something that says nothing matters, nothing's happening. And that continues for a long period of time. In this bliss, in this sat, chit and understate, in this beautiful opening of eyes and all that stuff. Where you disappear, the world disappears, I disappear, but everything becomes whole and one and complete, and I goes. Non-duality is all that really appears to be here as an awareness. It's a very sensitive time, because ego has to come back. There's no doubt. All the great saints that you would call saints or gurus or speakers that are living now, they speak as if they're human, because they have to accept the human state coming back in. Otherwise, no one would listen. No thing would listen. And therefore, as Christ had to appear as a human form and captured so many incredible human beings into some sort of peaceful and contented and incredibly happy to live their lives out with this Christ. Christ had to come back as a form. Had to come back. Because you in a non-dual state, you don't see yourself as a form. You don't see anything. There's nothing to see. There's no seer. The seer cannot be seen. The seer cannot be experienced. You don't exist. So you might as well be invisible. And in fact, the world opens up for you in that state. And everyone walks past you and bows their head and doesn't see you. So therefore, how could Christ have reached out to others without returning as this human state? How can you reach out in your non-dual state, in this no me, no I, no you, this universally whole and profoundly whole-lay state of emptiness? The ego has to come back in. But you have to, that what watches ego come back in is not ego. When ego comes back in and starts watching itself, it also again can push that observer out and say, yeah, I'm back in. I'm taking over, it's all about me. It's a very, very subtle and time. So when the me comes back in, that me doesn't say me, it says me. It doesn't say I want. It says I want. One wants. There's no personal you anymore. But the personal you can sneak back in. So many have experienced this profound non-dual fourth, fifth, sixth dimension state of being beyond thoughts, and the thoughts, they slink back in and they slowly take over again. External thoughts on the television screen, thoughts in the job place, thoughts in the mind that have not really been completely scrubbed out. It's an ongoing, and you know what explains it perfectly? What life is explains it perfectly. If you managed, and I dare say everyone absolutely did, watch the procession on the Queen's funeral, from beginning to end, you were transfixed with a left, right, and then a bell, a Thich Nhat Hanh Plum Village bell every now and then from Big Ben. Bang. Was there boredom? You witnessed human beings in different costumes walking for hours. Yet, in our thinking world, in our active world, in our world of trying, changing, improving, futuristic, looking into what we need, what we want, how we can evolve, preparation for this, preparation for that. Always going back into the past to make comparisons. Well, in my day, this day, tomorrow's day, generations, blame, not conforming, not complying. All of this is taking place up here. Yet, in one incredible funeral, it is like that non-dual state. Your eyes are fixed, you're observing. And there's nothing happening. There's nothing happening except a march, a procession. It's not about the competitiveness. It's not about who is dressed the best. It's not about an association with a particular group of people, a force, an armed force. Unless you actually work in that armed force, there is I used to work there, a moment of breaking that procession. There's no hatred, no joy, no animosity, no anger. All the states of humanity disappear in that march. And you're transfixed. And in a normal day's life, when that procession is not taking place, if you sat in front of the television screen and watched that, they say, you must be completely off your head. You must be bored. That's how easy it is to do. That's how easy it is to be a human. To simply accept everything as it is. To simply accept a moving, physically moving, emotionally moving, and a non-moving thinking about past and future time elements. No one really can say, I watched the Queen's funeral procession and I found it so boring. I had to switch it off. It was a moment of connection, a meditating. That's what meditation should be like. Not expecting anything, not knowing anything, not waiting for the final whistle, the halftime whistle, the team to score, not waiting for a substitution, not waiting for a moment of a complete speech to break you out of this hypnosis. The best thing for any enlightened speaker to say is to a question, how can I become that non-dual state? You don't point them to Bhagavad Gita or Buddhism or Zen or Upanishads or Christianity or Catholicism or some physiotherapist or psychologist or psychoanalysis. You say, well, you don't have to do anything. You watched that. If you watched that Queen's March, that was it. That was it. Completely fixed, completely connected to the whole procession. You weren't waiting for the coffin only. You were waiting to see the whole left, right, left, right. That's what life is. Completely stable, with a little breeze that takes you along the way. But our minds, our thought patterns want sways. I want sways. And we get sways through this thinking mechanism. But beyond thoughts, beyond this third, fourth dimension, when you return and you realize that you have to use your name, even though you don't recognize yourself, you have to say you're a body, even though you don't believe that you are fully this body. Well, that you believe, even though you know that you're fully not this body. To keep others happy, to get your message across, you have to say these things. You have to say, I am a human being. And something inside is laughing and giggling and frolicking at this. And it keeps saying, no, come back. We're marching. We're just marching. Very humbling. That's how meditation should be, very humbling. There should be no speaker of meditation afterwards saying, the meditation was great, I saw this, I did this, my auntie came through, an angel came from beyond, a light came, God spoke. Meditation is a humbling event. And that's what life is. That is life in one procession. And that's what's taking with every human being, every moment of every day, with a thinking mind that can take itself out of it, into it, out of it, into it. Bigger than it, smaller than it. Depressing as it, joyful as it. I'm so glad for the procession, and it's a great way to say that's non-duality. You watch that screen from minute to start, and you maybe had a cup of tea in between, but that moment you came back, you rejoined it completely. There wasn't you didn't have to say what happened when I was away. Did I miss anything? The same thing over and over again. And in our mind we say we don't want the same thing over and over again. It's so boring, it's so repetitive, I want change. Was there not change? Was the colours not changing? Was the music not changing? Was the landscape around not changing? Was the expression on people's faces not changing? There was little glimmers of looking to the side, looking to the left, looking to the right. It was just an amazing, amazing feat for people to be part of that as a member of the procession and as a member of the audience. There was no individual important in that procession. Every now and then you would think of the Queen or the Prince of Wales, now the King. But you kept going back to the procession, to the march, to the meditation, to the non-duality that you were in that hours that you expressed with no effort, a way of being part of this whole incredible beyond life that we are, experiencing life in whatever we are.